Hello. I am so grateful and humbled and honored to open my heart with you today. If you've been following along, this is part of our Learning to Channel series. I've been calling it Gateway. So really what it is we're coming together to really activate and open and work with our root, heart and crown chakra, so that all of you called to this can learn to channel with safety and security and power and passion. I really want to make sure that we are bringing in the highest vibrations of love and light, and that is going to have a healing effect on us. We're going to be discerning. We're going to be able to process it and feel it and work with it and grow and expand with that light that we channel through us. And today we're opening our hearts together. If you're drawn to this series, please do check out the root chakra videos. So maybe you're here today to open your heart with me. And if you feel called to continue listening along, welcome. You are so welcome. And I'm so blessed to have you here today. Today was another spirit-led expedition. I came here to Whites Hill Reserve in Mount Gravatt on Turrbal and Yagara country, and I left something behind, so I had to drive back home. But as I was driving back home, I went past this back end of the park that I'd never seen before, and it had all this beautiful water flowing because of all the rain we've been having. So I got to traipse through the mud on my way here. And Spirit was very, very clear that I was going to wear this big white dress today. And it's something that's been sitting in my closet for many, many years. I've never worn it before. And I think Spirit's message is get it out. Wear it, love it, use it. Stop hiding your gifts. Stop hiding the things that you love. Get out and use it. So here I am, super muddy, looking like I'm on my way to my own wedding as I walk through the creek, which is quite deep and slippery in parts, but so beautiful and green. And can you hear the cicadas? Can you hear the crickets and the frogs and the creek? It's actually really loud. I've tested a few times to make sure you can actually hear me here. But again, another lesson in letting go of control and going with the flow. And I know I've been talking to you a lot lately about merging with our soul, merging with our higher self, and being able to be authentically us, whoever that is, in order to be master channelers. Why is this important? I talked about in the root chakra video that when you know who you are and you can just be who you are rather than a curated, constructed version of yourself, it's not so scary to get out of the way. I can let my ego recede to the background. I can bring through what wants to come through because I'm not afraid of losing myself. I know who I am, and I can determine that against whatever I'm bringing through, and so I'm not scared to step back. I'm not scared that I'm going to lose myself. I'm not asking myself, well, is that just my imagination? Is that me? Is that someone else? Ultimately, it's all us. We're all one. But at this level of existence, it's really easy to be able to surrender to God, surrender to the flow, when you're not surrendering anything that you're meant to keep anyway. We're always going to be who we are. And if we know who we are deep down and we allow all the other layers to fall away, and there's nothing to be afraid of when we surrender. Because we're not scared of losing that job or losing that item or losing that money or losing that aspect of ourselves. We can let it go because we know it wasn't us and it wasn't meant for us, or at least not who we are now. It's always evolving and changing. And so our first lesson, not a sexy word, I know, but our first lesson in terms of opening our hearts and being able to channel through our hearts and with our hearts is about being honest with how we feel. Being honest about who we are and what's there. And I think something that we don't always deal with in a helpful way in spiritual communities is the pain and the discomfort that comes with opening your heart chakra. That comes with opening our hearts at all. When we open our hearts, we're vulnerable. We're terrified. We feel all the beauty of the world. We feel the astounding beauty of the world and our connection to everyone. But we also feel the pain of others. And even when we're in a healthy, high vibrational state, there's often a sense of grief that creeps back up for us. Grief for our former lives, grief for any of the suffering we went through, grief for the people we've lost, grief for the people who are still suffering now. You know, there can be survivor's guilt, there can be pain, there can be just the discomfort of something novel and unfamiliar, even if that's wonderful. And so what I want you to do is not be afraid of that and not try to affirmation it away. Because we need to experience everything to be who we are. And I know sometimes I've gotten to places where things are so beautiful and so amazing, and I can't believe I did it, and I can't believe I got there, and I can't believe I was able to heal and experience all of these miracles. And then even with that, there's this grief. This sense of, well, why couldn't it always have been like that? Or yes, I'm finally here, and it's safe for me to cry. It's safe for me to suffer now. It's safe for me to grieve the things that it wasn't safe for me to grieve before, because I couldn't break down and cry before. I had to keep my guard up. I had to keep fighting and hustling. And then you find yourself in a place of safety. You find yourself in heaven. And maybe the first thing you want to do when you get to heaven is cry. To let your guard down. To say, okay, it's safe now. It's safe for me to cry now. And I want you to know that that's okay. That that's what comes with an open heart. And it's okay to feel that. And it's okay to feel sorry for yourself and for others. And it's okay to reach back in time and give yourself a hug. We don't need to be afraid of our tears. I'm feeling really empowered and encouraged today by my guides and by the universe and my own heart to say there's been this misconception that crying means you're in a low vibrationary state and that that's at odds or working against whatever it is that you're trying to manifest or work with or whoever you're trying to be. I'm finding more that tears are a sign of truth for me these days. My partner and I ran this beautiful healing session in the Patreon group, and afterwards just watching people put their heart and soul into the betterment of humanity, into the betterment of other people, and just feeling the purity of that, the purity of the intention of it, let alone the actual power that was flowing through people in the moment, just floors me. And after it was all done, and my partner and I went out to the shop and we were just standing in line for like a cold drink, and I just had to hold him and cry. And it was just this experience of the world is so beautiful and I'm so grateful that we get to be in it, and I couldn't help but cry. And it was just this relief that there are so many good people in the world. And we're all in this together, and it's all going to be okay. And I had that moment again in the sauna not too long ago. I was in a sauna, and I was meditating, and I just felt so clearly that I was the water, that I was the stream, and I could feel myself and my consciousness flowing with it. And then I snapped back into my thinking brain, and I said, okay, what does that mean? Like, can I access this all the time? is, you know, explain this to me. And my guide said very clearly, you found that truth through your heart, Kelly. Stop thinking and asking questions. Go back into the heart. And so I did. I went back into my heart, and I again felt myself as the stream. But then I felt myself also as the tree. And then I felt myself as all these birds in the tree, and I was all of those birds. And I'm like sweating and crying and just like almost sobbing, but you can't really tell I'm sobbing because I'm also dripping in sweat. And I'm just feeling the truth of that. The truth that all those beautiful birds you see, 1111, all those beautiful birds you see, and you think, I'm so grateful for birds. You know, like some days I couldn't get through a day if I didn't see birds. You know, and you love them. And then you have these transcendent moments through your heart, and you realize you are them. And that all the beauty in the world that showed up for you, that's you as well. It's another face of you. And you can't help but cry when you reckon with that truth. And I don't know if it's a purging or a cleansing process, but it feels more like a cracking open to me. It feels more like this is who we are. We're criers. And so I invite you to love your tears, to embrace your tears, to relish and celebrate the truth of your tears. And when we're feeling down and when we're feeling everything, remember you're only getting to feel a lot of that because you're safe now. Because you got to a point where you can be honest with yourself. You got to a point where you can handle it now. I mean, have any of you ever been in a place in your life where you're kind of safe, and then you look back and you go, whoa, that was so much worse than I realized. Like, how did I let myself be in that situation? Or how could that have happened to me? Or how did I even survive that when you look back? And there might be a kind of re-traumatization as you look back at that. But you were only able to see it with those fresh eyes because you were healed and strong enough to be able to confront that. It was given to us when we were ready for it. And it's the case very much that we have to experience that grief before we can then shift the narrative and say, and that's what I went through so that I could get here now. See how there's a power in that? See how we can go, wow, that was horrific. And I survived even that. And other people have survived worse. And other people have had sometimes more joyous lives, but we all got here. And we all got here to do this work, and we all got here to be free. That's what opening your heart chakra is about. It's about freedom. It's about not being afraid of the heavy feelings. Not piling on by judging those heavy feelings and thinking that we should have been stronger or more. Like, stronger, really? Because I've never felt more strong than when I can feel everything that I need to feel and still be in love. To still feel compassion and joy and gratitude and bliss. It's all there. And let's just thank our hearts for being brave enough to open. Thank our hearts for feeling all of it. It's safe now. And that's the message that I was really, really meant to give you today. It's safe to open your heart now. And we're here too. And we love you.